All right, so the two ends need to be the same. Okay, so if it comes to a point, for instance, like a pyramid would, that is not a prism. Prism needs to look the same throughout. Okay, so this would be an example of a right prism. What makes it right? 90-degree angle. Okay, it's coming straight up. So the ones we're going to talk about right now are going to be right prisms, which just means that there's a right angle. So picture this being the bottom, comes straight up, that's a right angle. Now, where some people get confused is what is the base of this object? Okay, because volume, you can go ahead and write this formula down, is the area of the base times the height. Okay, so we're going to have to figure out what the base is. And where people get confused is if I set it down like this, so picture this being on the bottom, that is not the base. Just because it's on the bottom doesn't make it the base. Okay, because if I cut this thing in order to be a prism like Brenna read for us, all these segments would have to look the same if I cut it, if I do a cross section. So if I would cut this thing this way, would it look like a rectangle on the bottom? It would not. So the base is this side, because now no matter where I cut it, if I cut it any way through here, this is going to be my cross section. This is going to be what it looks like. So that's going to be the key for any of these figures. You need to set it up so it looks the same throughout the whole object. That way, that's the base. So sometimes in your book, it's going to be drawn that way. The part looking at you is going to be the base. Does that make sense? Whenever you cut it perpendicular, or parallel, excuse me, to the bases, I need to get the same shape as the base. That'll tell you if you got it right. So what kind of shape is this? It's named off of its base. So what kind of base is this? Hexagon, so it'll be a hexagonal prism is what this would be called. Hexagonal prism. Okay, let's look at another one. So you tell me which side the base is.
From the rectangle.
This?
No. Wait, the triangle. No, it's, oh, yeah, it's a triangle.
Okay, because now every time I would cut it, I would get a triangle, right? My cross section would be a triangle. Here, if I cut it at the top or cut it at the bottom, it's going to be different. It's going to be different size rectangles until I get to the top. They all got to be exactly the same. So if I cut this parallel to the base, now every time I would cut it, I would get this shape. That's how you know you got it right. These are really common. They like to throw these sideways at you in your book, where this is the base. You just got to picture that that's the base. So what's this shape called? Triangular prism.
That's the base.
That can also be the base. This one doesn't matter. Because this one I would cut, I would get all rectangles. This way I would cut, I'd get all squares. This one doesn't matter. Okay? These are the ones you're going to have to be super careful on. These look obviously quite a bit different, right? All prisms look the same throughout. All right, so knowing that, take a look at the first example. Kellen, would you read the directions there? For number 1, page 95.
If each prism is the same height, which one will have the greatest volume and which will have the least? When you read it.
All right, so all heights are the same. Remember, it's area of the base times the height. So if all heights are the same, the only thing we're comparing is the area of the base, because you're multiplying all the same numbers this way. So looking at the area of the base, it tells you the base is this, base is here, base is here. Which one's going to have the biggest volume? C. Why? Biggest base. The heights are all the same, remember? Picture this being the base, and then these are extending up off your book. Almost similar to this. The heights are all the same. We got these two, I guess, are pretty accurate. I don't have anything to represent that guy. All right, C and then C and then
And A.
And then
yeah, and then the least would be A. So we could just put them in order. CBA, I guess, would be the order. Y, biggest base to the smallest base. Question 2. Brooklyn, would you read that one?
If each prism has the same volume, which one will have the tallest height, and which will have the shortest? Explain the reason.
Okay, so now the volumes are the same. That means they all hold the same amount of liquid. Okay, the volumes are the same. Which one would have the tallest height? Colin? Why? Yeah, so the order for this one to hold the same amount of liquid as this one would have to be taller because the base is smaller. So it's the exact opposite. Smallest base to largest. Yes, good job. All right, next page. All right, we got a little issue with this one because somebody borrowed my snap cubes and didn't return them. I don't know. If I knew, I'd go get them. All right, so I don't know if you've seen snap cubes that kind of just connect together, and I'd be able to lay them out here and we'd be able to get a length for all these sides. So we're just going to guesstimate. Just imagine snap cubes sitting on here. All right.
Aren't those the cubes Miss Beatty has?
Maybe she's got them. I had to think to ask her.
oh,
You did ask her.
for pickleball.
She was champion.
You guys won.
All right, using the face of a snap cube as a unit area, what is the area of the shape? Explain or show your reasoning. All right, so let's say going this way, what's a good number, Brooklyn? 6. We'll say, well, 6 that way. Does this look like the same then, Brooklyn, here? Sure, 6 going this way. All right, no, we'll do these 3 and 3. All right, fine. So according to Brooklyn, that's how many snap cubes would go here. I got to figure out the area of that base. So you have two options. I can figure out the area of a couple different parts here. I could figure out the area of the whole thing and then subtract the missing piece. That's what you like to do? Well, let's do it that way then. What's 6 times 6? 6 times 6 is 36. Minus the piece that's missing here then. Still 9. Now Jared, as he impolitely shout out the answer, it is 27 units squared. Number 2, use snap cubes to build a shape on the paper. Add another layer of cubes on top. Describe the three-dimensional object. So if I put a layer of snap cubes on here to cover this, and now I go another one high, what will it look like? So every one's going to be too high now. Describe what it will look like. Autumn.
Like, so it'll be the same thing, but it'll be too high. So, like, the volume will probably go up by 2.
Okay, so the shape will look the same. Still like an L.
Yeah.
Shape will still be an L. Just twice as high. Or twice as tall. So what would be the volume? Veronica. 54 would be 27. That's my base. Times 2, because the height is now 2. For a total of 54. What's my label on volume? Remember that? Units cubed. Units cubed. All right, gentlemen. If your height is 5, What's the volume, ladies? The height is 8.5. What's your volume? You can use calculators.
That takes more time.
That's fine.
What does it
Jonas.
say?
I got 135 units squared.
That is accurate.
Label's incorrect.
Or cubed.
Confirmed by anybody else, gentlemen. All right. Ladies.
Say it.
229.5.
Confirmed?
Yep. Yes.
Then we label. All right, next part. Teacher will give you a set of three-dimensional figures. We're going to do one together. And then I'm going to have you in groups answer one. It says find the area of the base, find the height, calculate the volume. Okay, calculate the volume. Maybe we'll do a few bigger groups and then you can do a couple of them. All right, so figure A. Okay, so these are called nets. If you would cut a three-dimensional figure, hate's a strong word. If you would have a three-dimensional figure and you would cut it, this is what it would look like. Okay, so if you would fold it, you don't have to fold it all together. You should be able to see what kind of shape you're going to get here if you were to fold it, right? So your answers will go in this chart. So figure A, if I were to fold it on all those lines and connect it, will it be a prism? Yes. Square prism, right? So what would the area of the base be? 25 square centimeters. Careful. What would the height be? Yes. 5. Why? Every side is 5. That's where they're getting 25 from. All right? Don't think every side is 25. Every side is 5. That's how they got 25. So the height is 5, which means my volume is 125. Area of the base times the height. If it is not a prism, you do not have to fill out anything else.
Can you give us no prisms so we don't have to fill anything out?
There'll be some. Why don't
Now you're not going to get one, Joe.
you guys use 7?
7? Oh, no.
7 people.
Wait a minute.
6, 5, 6. B and C.
First off,
We should do
Yes,
this.
no. What? I guess yes.
Yeah, just all of us.
You 3,
Because it's a format.
you 2,
Because they'll all fold up.
No, that's a try.
E and F.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, B is yes.
Thanks, Jared. Now we have to do 2.
I'll give you D and then pick one more letter. I'll let another group do a second one.
Oh,
No, we're not.
No, it's D.
Okay, so,
K, you're K.
That one.
I was.
Literally.
I can make that work.
Oh, I know what this is.
It looks like
the base
There you
is
go.
15.
Okay, so that's like that is not going to be
The
written.
height is,
What letter is that?
Wait, I didn't see
59. That is not a word. And that triangle. Wait, that one. No, we took that. Guys, this is it all.
the height is
Wait. Oh my gosh, it's good.
height's 45.
Yeah, guys, this is a triangle. Georgia? No.
Because it's,
That's triangle. Triangle.
then it's the height.
No, that's two.
Shut up,
Why is
Georgia.
it
She's
the
calling my
weird-
answer. I'm right. Where do you go?
But,
Is that the base? This is not even that. Not the base. How does this go together? That's not the base. Wait, can I see it? Wait, can I see it? These triangles are the base.
people try to defend her.
Yeah. 48 and 60
I don't get
and
it.
37 make something. That's
Wait,
not
that's
correct
22.
because
That's not a 22.
Oh, he's checking on your book.
Dang it, I forgot to bring my Harry Potter book.
Okay, you can do what you want, just put no then and you'll be wrong and you'll be perfect.
Yeah, it's prism with the height of 2.
537. 337.
Height of 2, 11.
Look at, that's literally triangular prism. How is that not a triangular prism?
Wait, are the is these sides not surrounded by stones?
Okay, then it's
Yeah, it's still a prism.
337.
Because these two are the same.
Wait, then what is this?
No, the base is
here right now.
this side.
Oh, I wrote it here.
Find something.
2.
It's still a prism.
Still not sure.
I called it.
No, bro, you can't do any math right now.
Oh yeah,
I don't care about your
That's not a thing.
24.
It would have to be.
See, if they got rid of these things, I think it would have been a prism.
So then we gotta do
2 times 11.
Yes.
When can we sit in these chairs? Yeah, because you waste time to times two and you're trying
What?
Why don't you lose?
Chairs are comfortable.
They're
I don't have more masks anymore.
They're actually comfortable.
All right, one more minute.
Why you?
Because they can't sanitize those because they're cloth.
I don't think that's a print.
We'd have to spray them every day and vacuum them or whatever they gotta do.
Because of the.
What about
So I don't wanna sit on them is what I'm telling you.
Here, let's, I'm gonna try. They're the only two.
All right, have a seat. A couple questions to talk about yet. You ever got either one done?
No, we got halfway done.
What were you doing?
Trying to figure out if we were arguing about if it was a prism or not.
All right. Let's see if we can find figure B. Who had figure B? This one. Okay. Prism. B. B. After A is B.
Talking to me because we were trying to figure
All right. Is that a prism? Yes. What kind of prism?
A prism.
A what?
A 5 prism. Pentagon.
Pentagonal prism. Pentagonal prism. Yes. Area of the base. 15. Now be careful. Remember, this is going to be the bottom, so it's going to stand like this. If I would put it together. What is the height?
45.
No.
22.
No.
Again, I think it's 9. It's 3. 9.
How's it?
15.
It is 15.
How'd you get 15?
I took 45 divided by 3.
Oh, okay.
Why divided by 3?
Because I did a lucky guess.
There are 5 right there.
All right, so because every side here
Oh, yeah, that adds up.
would be 3. 3 times what would give me 45? 15. 15 times 15.
I'm glad you agree with the right answer.
15 times 15. 225. C. Brenna. C. Just so you know what's next.
Tis no prism.
Yeah. One easy way when you see these to figure out it's not, there's only one base. Right? So if you fold these, it's going to come up to a point. It's going to be a pyramid. So this one is no. Brenna, letter D now.
Yeah, but
We got halfway done.
half of it done, that's all we did.
All right, well, is it a prism?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be a triangular prism. Area of the base then? 24. Height.
We don't know.
We only got the base.
We got.
All right, well,
I think it's
this is 36. So that means every side is 6, right? See the 36 here? So if I set it this way, how tall is it going to be? 6.
I guess 12.
24 times 6.
I don't know.
Yeah, calculator.
144.
What is it?
144.
144.
Yeah, calculators.
Brenna, letter E.
No.
We didn't get that far.
No. Does not make a
I
prism.
told you. We just said that.
Figure F. Interesting shape.
Yes, it's a prism.
Yes, it's a thingamabobber.
No, it's not a thingamabobber, it's a thingamajigger.
It's a
Diamondo. All right, area of the base.
For your lelogram.
Area of the base. Jared, you're really bad at answering questions I actually ask. What's area of the base?
2.
Triangle, he says. All right, height.
2.
I do not have 2.
Isn't it like 2 times 11?
11.
It can't be 11.
I don't know. It looks like a 2. It's like 2 times 11.
Okay, is it 2.2 times 10?
But 2 times 2 is 4.
It's actually 3.
Hey!
We could measure it.
You said 11.
All right. 35 times 3.
105 centimeters.
105 centimeters cubed. Very good. All right, we're going to skip the Are You Ready and talk about the final question.
Yay.
Yeah.
The prism's height.
What is the prism's height? Okay. So it says there are 4 different prisms that all have the same volume. Okay, they all have the same volume. Or a little refresher, area of the base times the height. So if they all have the same volume, if it has a smaller base, the height's got to be higher. If the volume's the same. If it's got a big base, the height has to be smaller. So let's figure out the area of all these bases. What is the area of A? Evan, how'd you get that? And count the squares. Whew, tough. B, what is the area? Jonas, how do you count the squares?
I just multiplied the 3 by the 4 and divided by
3 times 4 divided by 2, area of a triangle. C.
14.
Ooh.
I got D. It is 14.
What have I got it?
All right, so big square would be 4 times 4 is 16 minus the area of the triangle is 2.
Oh, this last one's difficult.
And the last one,
Is it
5. All right.
9?
Number 1, order the prisms then from the shortest to the tallest. Okay, remember the bigger the base,
The shorter it's going to be.
shorter it's going to be. Colin. Explain your reasoning. Big base, small height. Question number 2. The volume of each prism is 60. What would be the height? So remember, area of the base times the height must be 60. So 4 times what is 60? 6 times what is 60? 14 times what is 60? Guys, why don't you do A and B? Ladies, C and D. Georgia.
I have D.
Okay.
12
12 times 5. Got a label?
centimeters.
Eh.
Units.
Yes. Kellen.
I have A,
Okay.
7.5.
7.5 times 8
There's a label for that.
is 60. Sophia, you got B or C? Corbin, B or C?
B, 10 units.
B is 10 units. And all you're doing is take 60 divided by these numbers, by the way, that we had on the left side. And the last one, Kinley.
I'm working on it. I got 4 point something right now.
Take 60 divided by 14 for me.
Okay, on the calculator?
Sure.
Sure, okay.
I'm gonna guess 4.7.
I'm gonna say it's something.
Nah.
I
It's
got 4.285711.
Kind of close.
So I like to. I just put
No,
4.3.
About 4.3.
Oh.
4.2.
Units.
What?
Like it's what you shout when you're playing Uno and you're one time. Units.
All right. C. Nope, 3. For volume other than 60, let's say the volume is 120.
I'm down.
Let's do it one more time. Instead of the volume being 60, let's change it to 120 and let's get the heights. Georgia, give me one.
D is 24 units.
Josh.
I got it.
Autumn.
C would be 8.4 units. C.
About.
Yeah.
Sophia.
D would be 30.
Jonas.
A would be 15 units.
All right, notice the similarity. We doubled the volume. What happened to our heights? Doubled. All times 2. All right, again, the most important formula right here. Volume equals area of the base times the height. Remember, when you are looking at the base, no matter how they have that shown to you, it has to look the same from the top to the bottom. Even if they have it this way, the side looking at you is the base. Because when you cut it, it needs to look the same throughout the whole thing. Okay, that is the key. Next page. Number 1, select all the prisms. So we talked a lot about what prisms are. So circle the ones that are prism, and then shade the base of it. So the ones you circle, shade the base. Remember, it's not always the bottom. Question number 2. Find the area of the trapezoid. So this one, it gives you the volume. It gives you the height. Find the area of the base. 2 answers, because you have 2 different shapes there. 2 answers for number 2. Next page. 3 and 4 talking about supplementary and complementary. Should be able to handle that. 4 is a little trickier. It doesn't give you one, you have to find them. Question 5, match. Self-explanatory. And question 6, write an equation that represents the amount of money. Here's the key word on this one, more. 50% more. Remember what we did with percent when it said more. That'll help you write the equation. So 1 through 6 on page 101 and 102 for